Thanks for joining me for your yin practice. My name's Brittany, and if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do. We are going to get started laying down on our backs. You don't need any props for this practice, but if you do have a blanket and a block, that would be really nice. So head on down to the floor. And when you get down onto the floor, just let the feet splay out, and palms facing up, rolling the shoulder blades so they're flat on the floor. Just moving the body around, wiggling around, and then coming to find stillness. And we'll just take a few moments at the beginning of our practice to let the body and the mind settle into this space. Giving yourself permission to relax. Noticing the breath moving in and out of the nose. Notice where the parts of the body move as you breathe in and expand. Noticing the parts of the body that move as you breathe out. And we'll bend the knees so the soles of the feet come in towards the bum, so we can shift the weight of the hips a little bit over to the left. And then extending the legs back out, we'll walk them to the right. If you'd like, you could inhale the arms up overhead, and then the arms and the torso wiggle over to the right. So we're creating this banana shape with the body. You could cross the left ankle on top of the right. You might have the elbows bent. You might have sensitive shoulders today, so you just keep your arms down by your sides. We're targeting the entire left side of the body. So you could be feeling sensation all the way from the feet up through the outer part of the left leg, the IT band. Feeling this all the way up through the ribs, triceps, all the way into your fingertips. It's normal for the mind to feel very busy. So if you notice the mind is wandering, just come on back to the breath. The breath is the anchor to the present moment. We'll unhook the ankles if they're hooked. And slowly bring the legs and the arms, torso back to center. We'll bend the knees. We'll hug the knees in. And just give the legs a little squeeze. Soles of the feet come down onto the floor. Just shift the weight of the hips a little bit to the right. Extending the legs out long, walking them over to the left. Inhaling, the arms reach up and over. And then we slowly inch the legs and the arms a little bit further to the left. The hips stay rooted on the floor. Your head falls in either direction. Closing the eyes, turning the awareness inside. And over the next few breaths, we'll take our time to release from this. We'll bend the knees, and then we'll roll over onto one side. Coming all the way up. We're going to come into a seated forward fold or caterpillar. So this might be a nice time for you to reach for your blanket if you want to have some extra elevation under the hips. We'll inhale, tall spine, and then exhaling, hinging forward at the hips. You might not come very far forward at all, and that's okay. Letting the feet and the legs relax. You let the spine round, chin coming in towards the chest. Playing your edges, meaning, not going too deep too quickly. Finding your edge and then backing off a little bit. There's no need to be aggressive. Give a little love to those hamstrings. Letting everything soften All the muscles along the spine soften, letting the belly hang soft and free, breathing with ease. Let's slowly come out of this, just taking our time to rebuild the spine. When the head lands over the shoulders and the shoulders over the hips, you might like to pause in stillness, or you could roll out through the shoulders, the neck. We'll bend the knees, coming back onto the hands. Just let the knees fall side to side. We're going to come into saddle. So if you have really sensitive knees, you might like to prop yourself up on your blanket, or you could also prop yourself up onto the block. And depending on your anatomy, you might come to sit on the feet and the shins, or you might be someone where your calves and your feet come out to the sides. So just exploring what's going on in your knees today. You can stay here more upright, or you could start to lean back onto the hands. This might be enough for you today. You could feel quite a bit of sensation through the quads and the hip flexors and the lower back right here. You could just take this in stages. And then maybe if this starts to feel okay, then you might come all the way down with a torso on the floor. So whether you're sitting with a tall spine, or you're leaning back on your hands, or you're all the way down on the floor, all versions of saddle are wonderful. One is not better than the other. Just listening to what's going on in your body. And remember that you can come out of these shapes at any time. You don't have to wait for my cue. And just as we came into this shape in stages, we'll come out the same way. So if you're all the way down onto the floor, we'll bring the weight onto the elbows, and then the weight into the hands, and then coming to sit up tall, shifting the weight of the hips over to one side. We'll extend the legs in front of us. You can massage the legs, let the feet fall out to the sides. So we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. If you have sensitive heels, you might like to come onto the mat so you're facing the long edge and the heels are supported by your mat. You could always be propped up on that blanket if you feel like you're rounding. And this doesn't have to be as wide as you can go. Just finding that place in the body where you're getting sensation through the inner groin and the hamstrings without it being painful. So So we'll slowly start to hinge at the hips. I like having a block close by with this one. So eventually, as my body starts to tell me it's okay to go a little bit deeper, the block's there to rest my forehead on or my elbows. And over the next breath or two, we'll slowly release. Use one hand to bend one knee and the other to help the other knee bend. You can hug yourself into a tiny little ball. Oh, and then just letting the knees fall side to side. And we'll come onto all fours. Bring the knees wide, the big toes together, letting the hips sink down and back. We'll come into a child's pose. You're welcome to stay here with the arms extended in front of you, or if you'd like to get a little bit of a stretch through the right shoulder and upper back, we'll take the right arm and hand and just bring that underneath the left arm so we come to rest on the left shoulder. So slowly switch the arms. So the left arm comes underneath the right, resting on the left shoulder and the left cheek. We'll release from there and starting to walk the hands in towards the legs so we can bring the weight onto one hip and let the legs extend out in front. And we'll come down to lay on our backs, hugging the knees in towards the chest. And we'll just take just a couple lazy twists from side to side. You could have your arms out into a T. You might linger on one side or the other. And then we'll hug the knees into the chest. Oh, and then releasing everything down onto the floor. It's normal to feel quite chilly after a yin practice. So if you have a blanket and you want to place that over the legs or the torso, feel free. We'll let the arms, legs feel so heavy, supported by the floor. We'll just take this time in corpse pose to let all of the work we've just done, let that seep deep down, allowing the body and the mind to rest just a little bit longer. You'll slowly start to rock the head side to side, moving your fingers and your toes, wrists and ankles. And then we'll just roll over onto one side, bending the knees. And coming all the way up. And we'll sit with a tall spine. Take our hands together at our heart. Namaste.